Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat, and I get my healthcare information from Grok and AI. What about you, Danielle?
Maybe that is the new name for GP. Instead of general practitioner, it's Grok practicing. Because that's apparently, folks, where we're all getting our health information from. It's insane. We're going to dig into this and so much more on today's Democracy-ish. We are so happy that you all are here. So let's start out with some Maha. Waj, ready? Here we go. Please.
Yeah, Danielle's not making that up. We're not being clever. They called it Maha.
Yes. Make America healthy again, or as we like to say, make America hurt again. So White House Maha Report may be garbled science by using AI, experts say. The report, led by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy, who, by the way, has no medical degree, has no medical license. I don't even think that maybe he does this as a hobby. But basically, as it turns out, according to Washington Post, that in the latest report, some of the citations that underpin the science in the White House's sweeping Maha report appear to have been generated using artificial intelligence, resulting in numerous garbled scientific references and let's talk about the language that is being used here. Garbled scientific references or bullshit. And invented studies or fake things that don't fucking exist. Of the 522 footnotes to scientific research in an initial version of the report sent to the Washington Post, at least 37 appear multiple times. Does this not reek of Ron Vera to you?
It's very Pete Navarro. It's there's an Arabic word to describe this. I want to teach everyone. If you don't know any Arabic, it's called bullshit. It's an Arabic word. It's very universal. A bullshit. This is the type. Oh my God, folks! Like, let's just take a moment, Danielle. Let's go back to high school. I think you were a nerd like me. We were in AP classes, right? And once in a while, there was a kid. You just couldn't hack it, so they used to use Cliff Notes, and the teacher used to call them out on it, right? And it was clear that they didn't read the novel or come up with original arguments. This is that version, but this is in high school. This is the United States of America. This is the government. Yep. This is the Director of Health and Human Services who overlooks, Medicare and Medicaid and CDC and the National Institute of Health. And the person who is leading it, RFK Jr., like you said, not only is not a doctor, not only never went to any medical school, not only is not competent or and qualified, also is a man who is into the most cranky anti-vax conspiratorial science, is a man who had brainworms, is a man whose own cousin called it a predator, is a man who loved his heroin, is a man who's into eugenics and openly spouts eugenics bunk Nazi science, right? About black people apparently not feeling the same type of pain and Ashkenazi Jews somehow being immune to COVID. Not making this up, folks. Look at the video. And this is a guy who said, I'm going to take care of the vaccine. Don't worry. And in addition to the Maha report, this week, folks, this is the guy who has attacked vaccines by saying, pregnant women and kids shouldn't get the COVID vaccine because we want to kill pregnant women and kids. Yeah. And also the bird flu vaccine, folks, because bird flu is killing people. Guess what they said this week? No vaccine for bird flu. But hey, trust me, I'm going to do the Maha report. I'm going to make you healthy again. And they couldn't even be bothered, Danielle, to do their own work. That's how lazy they are. They went to AI and they thought maybe if we just release this, no one will read it. But guess what, Danielle? There are doctors who care about our health and they read it and they're like, you're making up citations.
Some people took an oath to do no harm. RFK Jr. would know nothing about that because he is not a medical professional. And this is how folks know that AI was used for this bullshit report, is that some of the references include, I'm going to say, oocyte attached to URLs, a definitive sign that the research was collected using artificial intelligence. The presence of oocyte is a marker indicating use of OpenAI, a US artificial intelligence company. And the AI technology can be, and here's the thing, is that AI, as they're writing here, and as everybody who knows, who uses AI, can be used legitimately to quickly survey the research in a field. But Oren Etzioni, a professor emeritus at the University of Washington who studies AI, said he was shocked by the sloppiness in the Maha Report. Quote, frankly, that's shoddy work, he said. We deserve better. And I'm hoping that by we, he means the American people. Because frankly, the fact is that we have a man who is in charge of the health and well-being of 330 million Americans. As Waj said at the top, this is not just some kid who is doing a copy and paste of a book report or an admissions letter or what have you. This is actually cheating, and cheating the American people out of our health and well-being.
That's right.
We put, like, there's a reason why you would have warnings that come out from the CDC, things that come out from the World Health Organization. There's a reason why the best scientists and doctors used to come to these United States to do their research, to do their data collection, etc., because we were at the cutting edge when it came to science and development of vaccines. It's why, in the midst of a global health crisis during COVID, the one thing that Donald Trump actually did right was do Operation Warp Speed, or whatever stupid name that he gave it. And the reason why we were able to get a vaccine within a year and a half of that crisis is because people had already been funded and researching this mRNA vaccines and how to use them, right? But this administration has cut hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of research, collection. And here's the other thing. So when bobblehead Barbie inside of the press room was
but check out the cross. You see the cross right above the cleavage?
Of
All
course,
right, continue.
purposely placed. When a reporter asked, an investigation found that Maha Commission report cites studies that appear not to exist. Levitt, I understand there were some formatting issues. Formatting issues is misplacing a period or a comma. It is using different margins, maybe using a different font. Formatting issues do not include making up fucking citations that don't exist. The reporter asked then, is AI used to put together these reports? Levitt, I can't speak to that.
Answer, yes. I saw that yesterday, and I did a quote repost. Yes, and now we have proof, folks. This is remarkable that we have entrusted, not we, a plurality of Americans who are reckless and couldn't stand a Black Indian woman being president, and or were terrified that their straight son would somehow turn into a girl because of the $215 million that Republicans spent on the transgender panic. Let's just be honest, okay? This is why we have this situation. We need a bulldozer. Everything's already corrupt. We need the institution to come down. Yes, we need reform. But these people aren't going to reform everything. They're going to blow it up, right? I mean, these people are so incompetent, so lazy, so stupid. The DUI hires, they're not even effective, all right? Which might be a blessing in the long term, that they might be their own worst enemies. But in the short run, as we've talked about on the show, how many people will suffer, Danielle, right? I mean, already, folks, we've talked about it on this show for a while. and we've talked about RFK, and I've always said that of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, he is one of the scariest, right? We talked about Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and others. But the reason why RFK Jr. really terrified me, and perhaps because my wife's a doctor and I'm a father of a stage 4 cancer survivor, and I have to keep my eyes on the ball for my daughter's health, right? Is I've been following RFK's career, right? I knew he would be an anti-vaxxer because he is an anti-vaxxer. I've seen vaccine hesitancy go up in America. As of now, a quarter of Republicans now have vaccine hesitancy, a quarter of Americans. Now, you might say, how does that affect me? Danielle, can you please tell people about measles and what's happening with measles in America right now?
How does it affect you? Well, because we have had, I don't even know what the number is now, but hundreds of measles cases. We've had
1,000, more than 1,000.
More than 1,000 now. We've had a child die, right, who was not vaccinated. These kids are going to school with, guess what? Your kids. The other day, a man who was infected with measles, he traveled through an airport, right? Which means that everyone that was in that terminal, everyone that was in that airport should have received some type of text message from Health and Human Services that said, guess what? You may have been exposed to the measles. But we don't have that kind of rapid response anymore with this Health and Human Services. But you see that people who make stupid decisions about not getting vaccinated affect your health and well-being. It's why at one time, guess what, Waj? Measles was eradicated until post-COVID. Well, we're not post-COVID because COVID still exists. But as this administration, the first term, they were lying about the COVID vaccine. They were lying about vaccines in general. All of a sudden, because of their lies, vaccine hesitation has gone through the roof, which means that diseases, highly contagious ones like the measles viruses that used to be under control, you just got a shot in an arm and then you were good, are now making a comeback. And my fear, Waj, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but is that we're going to now get different strands.
There you go.
We're going to get different strands of things that now we don't have the immunity to fight back against. And guess what? Can't rely on an HHS or a CDC to provide us with new vaccinations when these new viruses begin to mutate.
Well, on point. And even though you're not playing a doctor, you played much better than RFK Jr. Speaking to that, literally last night, folks, the Trump administration has canceled a nearly $600 million contract with Moderna for the development of a bird flu vaccine for humans. Bird flu has already jumped to human beings in America. It is very contagious. It is very deadly. And speaking about mutations, you don't know, right? COVID killed over 1 million Americans. There's still COVID strains. People are still getting COVID. Now you have bird flu. Now measles is coming back. Polio. So just to get on top of it and say, hey, we got a case of bird flu, right? Maybe it might evolve. It's already jumped to humans. Maybe we should have a vaccine. This administration, because it's run by extremists, said, nah, herd immunity.
Herd immunity. And then on top of that, you say to yourself, okay, well, if I'm going to get my information from elsewhere, that's okay. That's fine. I just know that I can't trust this administration to give me the information that I need. Oh, so now what are they doing with information? That's right. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy said he could bar government scientists from publishing in the world's leading medical journals, instead proposing the creation of, quote, in-house publications by his agency, brought to you by Grok and OpenAI, because that's what makes sense.
Folks, many of the immigrants that came here, thanks to the 1965 Immigration Nationality Act, were really bright students from Asian and Latino and African countries. Many of them ended up becoming doctors. South Asians in particular, I'm sure many of you probably have South Asian doctors. They came here, they established themselves in a lot of red places. My in-laws, they came to Florida and they realized, oh, there was a vacancy in Okeechobee. So like 20, 25 Pakistani doctors and families got there. They set up their communities and they literally healed and saved that community for 30, 40 years. That's why a lot of people come to America and our universities, right? As Danielle was saying. And of course, Donald Trump is trying to bar foreign visas from students from international students from coming. We just found out today, about an hour and a half ago, that the Supreme Court is allowing Trump to temporarily essentially kick out 500,000 immigrants who are here on a temporary protected status. We're attacking universities. So what's going to happen as a result of both our xenophobia and our ignorance? People are going to die. You get people like RFK and the DUI hires as we're getting rid of DEI, aka Black people, women, LGBTQ people who are qualified in government. You have the world's worst people like RFK failing up, right? He has, as Daniel just mentioned, we're cutting research. In the 100 days, the first 100 days of the Trump administration, Danielle, as it was announced that Joe Biden has stage 4 cancer that has metastasized to the bone, a fact that I wanted to bring up during that coverage of Joe Biden's health. And did you know about Joe Biden? Do you know that he's an old man? And I'm like, do you know what's even more important than Joe Biden being an old man? Breaking news is the fact that the Trump administration has cut 31% of cancer research in the first.
Oh no, Waj froze. Oh no. Let me ask you, did Waj freeze for everybody? Tell me in the chat, because otherwise he needs to come back and come back in. Oh, yo. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Everybody's like, yep, he froze. Am I still here? Great. I'm still here. I'm like, good. Okay. So we will hope that Waj jumps back off and comes back in. That's technology. No, Waj is immobilized. His internet just died. Okay. So it's me for a moment until Waj comes back. Let's hope that he does. Let's put out good energy for his internet. So fact of the matter is this, folks, as Waj was talking, we're cutting off funding. We're cutting off research. We're kicking people out of the country who come here to do incredible work, who build homes, who then help the rest of us. And now they're gone. And I'm going to put up this picture of RFK. And I feel like this is just emblematic of who this administration is and where we're going, which is HHS Secretary RFK Jr. posted photos of himself swimming in a sewage-filled creek, a fitting metaphor for his entire approach to public health. What could possibly be the point of this? Like, you could not have picked a stupider, more dangerous person. And Waj and I always go back and forth with this because they are the three horsemen of the apocalypse. But the most dangerous one to me isn't even Pete Hegseth. And he's in charge of our military. It is RFK Jr., who is absolutely 1,000% going to kill people. And if he hasn't, right, yet, he will. Because there are people who still believe that our government is actually working to help the American people. And we have to tell you, this is why we do these topics, is that you have got to take your health care, right, your wellness into your own hands. Between you and your doctors, right? Because you cannot take any of the information that is coming through this administration to heart and think that anything that is being uttered is for your well-being. They are using, not only are they using junk science, now they're using junk AI. And that's where we are. So that picture to me, absolutely perfect, of him in sewage. And Lord, 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 Lord. If there's also any good news, which there really isn't a ton today, but I'll say this. So, guess who's leaving government after a solid 4.5 month effort to destroy and gut all of our resources? Elon Musk. Donald Trump is going to hold a press conference right when our show ends at 1:30 Eastern. I'm having a press conference with Elon Musk at the Oval Office. This will be his last day, but not really, because he will always be with us, helping all the way. Elon is terrific. See you tomorrow at the White House. Okay. Waj said that he will try and be back in 10 minutes. His entire internet is down and Verizon is working on it. Let's see where we're going from here. If you can, let's see if he can join from his phone. Join from your phone. I love live streaming. Okay. So the funniest thing here to me is Elon Musk is pretending to leave the government. We all know that the reason why he's leaving is because his entire company is failing. And for whatever reason, the board and shareholders at Tesla believe that if he dedicates more time, that's somehow going to rehab his brand and the brand itself. It's not actually. I think that Elon Musk has done Tesla in, and I don't think that it's going to work moving forward. And I also don't want us to believe that he, right, is actually going to go away for good. The damage that Elon Musk has done, the damage that he has caused, the hundreds of thousands of jobs that are gone, the people that he fired and then rehired and then fired again, the fact that we don't know what his incel babies did with their coding, right? That they rewired inside of the treasury after, right before tax day. So, yeah, we are in an utter and complete disaster, but this is funny. The Boys social media has made a parody post about Elon Musk stepping back from the US government. Quote, today, Deep wraps up his work at the Department of Preserving Earth. Dope. It was always meant to be a 6-month gig since he'd be needed on other missions. He'd like to thank Homelander and his Octobros, Squid, Squad, Brocatus, and Brolafins for trusting him with the opportunity. It would be so funny if in fact it wasn't also kind of true. What an utter disaster this is. 1 second, folks. I'm going to do something to try and get our friend Waj in here. Unclear if I'm going to be able to do that, but we will see. All right. Okay. Okay. So speaking of people who know nothing about what their job is and what they're doing. So Road Rules Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, as planes continue to have great difficulty going through Newark, he says that his family flies out of Newark all the time. And I want you to listen, Lord, listen to this dum-dum who talks about the fact that everything is actually totally fine.
Mr. Secretary, is it safe to fly in and out of Newark Airport right now?
It is. So I fly out of Newark all the time. My family flies out of Newark.
So he flies out of Newark all the time. And then when asked again later, after this disaster, he has rerouted. He has rerouted his wife to LaGuardia. Waj, welcome back.
Hey everyone. So my Verizon guy thought it'd be amazing
without telling me to come in and literally cut my internet outside. I'm like, what the F happened? And my wife's like, there's a Verizon van outside. I'm like, are you doing something to my internet? He goes, yeah, I'm just splicing the wire. I'm like, thank you, sir. I'm co-hosting a live show right now. How long will it take? He goes, 15 minutes. So that Danielle's like, come on the phone. So I knew she'd handle it. Sorry, folks, for the 6 minutes, but continue, Danielle. We're gonna make it. We're gonna get it done. Can you hear me?
We're gonna get it done. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. So the fact is, I just ran through. Elon Musk is leaving, but do you think that he's really leaving? I don't. I think that he's saying that he's leaving.
That's exactly the question I wanted to ask you. There's, as you know, there's going to be 130. Oh, Elon is great. Look at Elon's sacrifice. Look what Elon has done. Oh, he's brilliant. And I don't know if you saw last night, Danielle, Ian Bremmer and some other folks, even Stephanie Rule agreed with his tweet. They said, whatever you might say about Elon and his tenure in the government, you cannot deny he's one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs of our time. And I'm like, I can deny that. I think I could deny. Go look at Ian Bremmer's tweet. And then Stephanie Rule is like, I agree with that. And I'm like, wait a second, what am I missing? Because this guy is a straight up Nazi lover. This is a guy who did a hostile takeover of Tesla. This is a guy who hasn't really created anything, right? He took his money, his PayPal money, got Tesla. His space rocket just mother effing exploded, right?
Again.
He's cutting regulations. Again, he's cutting regulations left and right. Oh, not to mention, yet again, the Nazi shit that I just talked about and his chainsaw to Doge. What are we doing, folks? What savings were there? He took away regulations. Airplanes are now crashing. Friggin' Sean Duffy doesn't even trust his own wife. He's the Secretary of Transportation. He doesn't even trust his own wife to fly out of Newark Airport. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have lost their jobs. We have a disaster where people have lost faith in the U.S. economy. People aren't coming to America. Tourism is down. Like, you please tell me how he is brilliant, number one. And number two, no, I do not think he's going to disappear. Why? Because he gave $300 million to help get access to the presidency. So why is Donald Trump going to all of a sudden say, buy Elon, even though Elon has money bags, which he has openly said that I will share to tilt elections. And furthermore, Elon runs X, which now is a playground for Nazis and MAGA conspiracies.
Yeah, I think that we all have a different definition of what genius is and what greatest entrepreneur is. To me, a great entrepreneur is somebody that actually developed a company on their own with their own money and resources and not from their daddy. Right? That doesn't steal other people's ideas, that is actually an innovator and a thinker, and maybe has sustained the ability to move through various obstacles and not just have, pathways cleared for them. I'm just so tired of all of the, oh yeah, I guess we have to admit this thing. We have to admit what? That is, cars have been recalled a number of times, that his rockets that are supposed to be, putting as what did Gayle King say? Oh, she said this about Jeff Bezos. He's trying to help with pollution by shuttling our garbage into outer space, and then wondered why she was mocked. Like, these people are not geniuses, right?
Yeah, she said that? I had no idea.
She said that when she was being mocked for going on this space mission, which was nothing more than a glorified field trip with billionaires to outer space for 10 seconds. And she's like, no,
as a black woman, did that pain you? Like, if I had to deal with the Cash Patels, you're like, Gayle, why Gayle?
And then Oprah saying, my best friend went to outer space. I never thought I'd say that. And I'm like, you legit can't really say it now. She's not an astronaut.
This is, I mean, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't know she said that. And this type of, even after all the damage that he's done, Danielle, after all the, double Zig Heils, after all the pro-white supremacy talking points, after all the literal failure of his rocket this week, as I'm so glad you mentioned the Cybertruck pieces of the Cybertruck are flying off because they're not glued properly, they still give him verbal fellatio. And this is why when I hear stuff like that, I just want the establishment to burn. Like, a part of me just said, you're all terrible, and I hope you all get launched into the sun. Go on a space rocket and just get launched into the sun. You're all useless.
Do you all remember when Waj used to be like the calm one, the one that didn't curse, the one that was really super hopeful? And he just said, I hope they all get launched into the sun. We are in a bad place. We are in a bad
even
place,
some of the
man.
most hopeful, even some of the most hopeful middle-aged dads, sometimes we have, like this is, folks, this is like we're gonna have in 1 hour at 1:30 p.m. We're gonna have this friggin', God, they're gonna a fawning tribute to one of the world's worst most
people.
dumb, most friggin' reckless, idiotic, racist people. That's what's gonna happen, and it's a great like through line, right? The world's worst people are failing up. The world's most privileged, mediocre, reckless, dangerous white men who are swimming in sewage water and friggin' spending millions on failed rockets on dumbass Cybertrucks are being feted as Harriet Tubman is still denied her place on the dollar.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish that there was something redeemable to go to next, but there isn't. There's this. So this is another one of my favorite stories of today, which is that everyone at the Pentagon has lost faith in Pete Hegseth. And why is that? Not just because he also is an idiot and a white supremacist and a Christian nationalist. But he was a weekend Fox News host who served in the military for a hot minute. So of course he has the credentials and the resume and the merit to run the Pentagon. As it turns out, why did people in the Pentagon lose faith in Pete Hegseth? Because he's been wiretapping his staff. The White House has lost confidence in the Pentagon leak investigation that Pete Hegseth used to justify firing 3 top aides last month after advisors were told that the aides had supposedly been outed by an illegal, warrantless National Security Agency wiretap. The extraordinary explanation alarmed the advisors, who also raised it with people close to J.D. Vance, because such a wiretap would almost certainly be unconstitutional, an even bigger scandal than a number of leaks. And it would certainly be unconstitutional, Waj, if in fact we still had a constitution that one believed in.
We've been one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse that we've talked about a lot, in addition to RFK, is Pete Hegseth. Folks, just sit with us for a second. We talked about RFK, why it's a big deal. Director of Health and Human Services, right? Overlooks Medicaid, Medicare, National Institute of Health. It has the power to, cripple the CDC, which is what he's done. Pete Hegseth, as Secretary of Defense, overlooks a budget of nearly $1 trillion, $900 billion. He overlooks 2 million individuals who are in our armed forces, okay? In addition to all of that, folks, he advises the commander-in-chief, the president, on national security and military strategy. So who is the person that we have? Do we have a 4-star general? Oh, that was Lloyd Austin, the black man who was the Secretary of Defense under Biden. Also, if you say, I don't like Biden, I don't like Democrats, okay. The first Trump administration, he had General Mattis, a white man who was, wait for it, a 4-star general. Pete Hegseth has been a Fox News host for 10 years. Pete Hegseth has allegations of alcoholism. Pete Hegseth has allegations of economic impropriety. Pete Hegseth was called out by his own colleagues in the army for being a potential extremist due to both his tattoos and his behavior. Pete Hegseth has written a book called American Crusade, where he admits he is too extreme for the U.S. military. Pete Hegseth is a man who paid off a woman thousands of dollars to sign an NDA, a woman he allegedly sexually assaulted and abused. And that Pete Hegseth was the same man, Danielle, in Princeton, who wrote what? He said,
if you have sex with a woman who's passed out and drunk, it isn't rape.
Yeah.
Shocking. Shocking that. So now this is a man who, in addition to this huge scandal of allegedly doing warrantless wiretaps of his own aides, also has multiple signal gate, not just one, Danielle, multiple signal gate controversies, right? Of him literally inviting his wife, his brother, and I don't know, Jeffrey Goldberg, a journalist, into unsecure conversations where he has copy pasted, speaking about AI, Grok, copy paste Cliff Notes, copy pasted military plans and shared them, thereby exposing our military and national security and our armed personnel. And this man is still in the White House. Danielle.
I mean, at least his wife still thinks that he's tough and manly. That's why he brings her to work, so that he can show her around and be applauded for all that he does. I mean,
Hold on one second. I'm going to come back. Hold on one second.
I love this. The insecurity with which Pete Hegseth works. Oh, we're back with regular.
Internets.
It's just the insecurity for me, the smallness for me that these men exhibit, which is why we're here. It's like if you had all of the high school bullies and jerks and the dopes and you gave them the keys to the kingdom, like that's where we are. It is an idiocracy mixed with autocracy, mixed with white nationalism. It is the worst cocktail that we could have as a country. And you say to yourself, well, maybe Donald Trump, he's seen the light of his ways and the next rounds of people that he'll be hiring will be better. You would be absolutely fucking wrong. Trump is now nominating Paul Ingrassia to lead the Office of Special Counsel. And according to multiple sources and also his own social media posts, Ingrassia has ties to multiple anti-Semitic extremists. He called for X to remove a ban on Nick Fuentes and was spotted at Nick Fuentes' rally and has also appeared at events with an alleged Nazi sympathizer. So he appeared at an event with himself. And Trump is nominating him. And in a post to his broke down social media platform, he's talking about the degrees that he holds, which I don't know why that matters to Donald Trump, being as how higher education doesn't actually matter to him. And what a constitutional scholar he is, et cetera, et cetera. Waj, tell them more about Paul.
29-year-old far-right extremist podcaster, and there's no reason to say far-right anymore. It's mainstream. Who, folks, let me go back real quick to this because people forget. Who is Nick Fuentes? What does that matter? Nick Fuentes is basically a Nazi, right? He said Adolf Hitler was based, a white supremacist, an anti-Semite, a man who met Donald Trump with Kanye. And to this day, Donald Trump has not denounced him. Donald Trump dined with him because he realized a part of his base is, let's admit it, Nazi. So you have essentially a Nazi lover, a man who used his far-right podcast platform to mainstream Nick Fuentes, a person who's pushed conspiracy theories, a person who's not seen by anyone as a scholar, a 29-year-old podcast hoster who, folks, now is going to be the head of the Office of Special Counsel. Now, what does that mean? The head of the Office of Special Counsel is, and this is going to make you just enraged, an independent corruption fighting agency that safeguards federal whistleblowers and enforces ethic laws. This is like you hiring an arsonist to be the head of the fire department. And this is what's happening and no one's blinking an eye.
People are blinking an eye. We're talking about it, but this is where we are. This is where we are. We are going to leave you today with just a couple of good things because Waj does his best to scour the internet so that you all don't jump off a cliff after every single one of our shows. And so here is a little bit of good news. So there's a U.S. judge who plans to issue an injunction blocking the Trump administration from immediately revoking Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students, which, by the way, is about a quarter of the population of their students that come in. So that is one good thing. And I believe maybe this is something good.
This is a good news. This is Taco.
Go ahead.
So okay, I would say three pieces of good news. So we'll bring it back full circle and end it on the a mediocre man who's getting his comeuppance in a public humiliating type of way. But this is a nice lead up to that, because this is what happens when you have reporters actually doing their jobs. And of course, it was a woman. So if you've missed it and you're not on the internets like we are, Taco, TACO, is now a trending meme. What does Taco mean? Trump always chickens out. And if you look at the post, right, in Wall Street, it's kind of like this thing, he's a taco. Don't worry about these, taco, right? Because the trade war, right? And everyone's going to like respect America again, and everyone's going to bend the knee, and everyone's going to come to me. Nope. People are retaliating. And now we might have a trade war and a global recession, and Moody's has downgraded the U.S. credit for the first time, and everyone's on edge. And it's completely unstable, and tourism in America has gone down, and our allies are pissed off, right? But as we've seen, Trump always chickens out. So a reporter, of course a woman, asked him in the White House, what do you make of this taco trades in this meme? And Donald Trump just flipped out on her. He was so pissed. And that just goes to show you, first of all, we can have some nice things. We can be petty folks. But these mediocre ass men, once they're confronted, once they're exposed, every single one of them melts down, folks. What you have to do is you have to fight. You have to punch a bully in the mouth. Not even punch a bully, graze their chin, Danielle. And you keep seeing with all these men, they cosplay. They cosplay as tough guys. They're all weak as F. They have a jelly for knees. And they have glass jaws, folks. And the third item, the good news item that proves the point, but brings it back full circle. Danielle couldn't get the video clip of it, but it was just exquisite. Yesterday on Fox and Friends, Dan Bongino, tough Dan Bongino, always shows off his muscles. Tough, alpha man, right? Forget your safe space. Facts don't care about your feelings. Power baby, podcast host, right? Former Secret Service, right? That Dan Bongino, who decided to become deputy director of the FBI and work under Kash Patel. He was on Fox and Friends. He's only been in the job, Danielle, I think maybe 2 months.
I was going to say, it hasn't been that. It hasn't been this whole first quarter.
It was beautiful. He was on Fox and Friends, and you were looking at like a middle-aged man kind of having like a breakdown.
A meltdown?
Yeah,
like a public breakdown.
And that Fox News Friends like segment ended up become like an intervention therapy segment. And he goes, I work so hard. It's so tough. I feel divorced, not really divorced from my wife, but divorced in the sense I'm separated and I'm in a room and me and Cash work and you guys don't know. And just to see him whining, and a part of me said I couldn't help it. I tweeted at him. I said, man up, Dan Bongino. This is the job, right? Quit whining. If you can't take it, friggin' resign. And just the chutzpah of these people, right? Because Elon Musk, who's about to be fed in 45 minutes, what did he do? These useless federal employees, give me 5 items that you have completed every day. Yep. You guys are wasteful. You guys are lazy. We don't know what you're doing. You don't need this job. You're making millions of dollars. And Dan Bongino, like the rest of us, actually has to go work and actually, has responsibility and duties. And this guy couldn't take it. He's whining and crying and crumbling. And guess what?
They were like, oh, but you're doing such, the hosts were like, but you're doing such good work. And, you're real. And I'm like, is this what are we doing here? Right? You guys are the ones that get on television to talk about how the left are snowflakes and this, that, and the other thing, and how weak we are. And even Democrats have ingested and internalized the right-wing language to now try and cosplay this toxic masculinity. And you're getting on television to complain that you have a hard job, that guess what? You're not qualified for. And that's why the job is so hard.
That's the key thing. You're not qualified for it. And this is why people need to realize that it is harder than podcast hosting, right? These are people who are thoroughly qualified dealing with life and death situation, national security. You have to be very hardworking. You have to be very committed. You have to be, trained. You have to have experience. And guess what? You're a public servant. That's what it means. You're held accountable to the people, right? And so they thought they could just come in and, the MAGA cult would like adulate them and praise them and give them flowers, and they'd find out about the deep state, right? And now he's talking about James Comey. Guess what? You are now part of the deep state, and MAGA is turning on these people. The best part about this is the reason why he's also whining and complaining is MAGA is turning on Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Tan Bongino. Why? Because MAGA was promised that once Republicans get back control, they're going to release the Epstein Files. And guess what? They haven't released the Epstein Files. And why do you think, Danielle, they'll never release the full Epstein Files? Just take a guess.
I'm thinking that there may be somebody who is in the files who may have met his current wife on one of Epstein's planes. I'm thinking that there are a lot of very quote unquote powerful men who we all know are in those files. And it's why he, clearly hung himself.
None of those men have ever been tried. None of those men are in prison. Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who was his
only
partner
one that went
in
to
this
jail.
Is the pedophile scheme, is the only one in jail. And Donald Trump, folks, openly videos of him partying with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein said that he was Donald Trump's closest friend until, of course, Epstein's conviction. And Donald Trump's name was on that flight log along with Marla Maples. That was released by Pam Bondi. But if you release all those files, a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats, a lot of people both here and abroad, a lot of rich and wealthy men will have a lot of questions to answer. So this is what happens. You never go full conspiracy theorist. Go half conspiracy theorist. Because when you go full conspiracy theorist, you eat your own tail. And now you're seeing Dan Bongino and Kat. Look, I'm all here. I was telling Francesca this yesterday. And by the way, Francesca wants you on her show. She goes, Danielle, please get Danielle on my show. So all these people
I'd love to.
I'm connecting Danielle to all these people. Like, Danielle's so cool. Like, they all think Danielle's the cool girl who they're like, can you talk to Danielle? Will she come on our show? I'm like,
You're hilarious.
Danielle's really nice. You can do it. She goes, I don't know, man. But like, okay, she would? Yeah. And so like everyone thinks like Danielle's the cool girl who but like, can you be the intermediary and get Danielle on our show? And they're like, I think she'll say yes.
I think she'll say yes. Maybe
and their eyes widen, like, really? She'll come? Okay. It was, Brian Cohen said, will Danielle come on my show? And then there was also Francesca and a few other people. So I was talking to Francesca about this yesterday, where I'm here for, there's different parts of resistance. Everyone has to do their part as we end. And I think one of the things that people have to do, and I cannot be this masochistic, but I do my part, is I'm trying, Danielle, you have to expose the cracks and fissures in the MAGA movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
The meme that we always quote of Godzilla, Ken Watanabe, let them fight.
Mm-hmm.
Expose this. Nick Fuentes versus Charlie Kirk, Jordan Peterson imploding, Daily Wire imploding, right? Nazi versus Nazi, deep state versus deep state conspiracy theorists. The more and more they start, I guarantee you this Pete Hexa story, there's no way that came from anywhere other than inside the White House.
Oh, 100%.
It's probably Susan Wiles. So more this happens, folks, the more we throw sand in the gears, the more we fight, the more we come out and do the Tesla protest. Look, a lot of people said, the Tesla protest, no one will care. The reason why Elon Musk is stepping down, because as a result of those protests internationally, what happened to Tesla stock? That was organic, grassroots, the people coming out, the 50-51 protests, the buy-in to Costco, the buy-out of anyone who's against DEI. All of this is throwing sand in the gears of what wants to become a fascist regime, which is the Trump regime, the Trump administration. And all of us have a part to play. And folks, we're doing our part. We have our superpowers. It's the media, I guess. It's storytelling. It's writing. We do this independently. Danielle and I have thought it was 2 years, but Danielle said we've been doing this almost now 3 years.
Yeah.
It's all independent. We get no money from anyone. About 8 months ago,
I love how you saying like we get no money from anyone?
Anybody. Like we just get prayers. We get inshallah. So the way this works is we had one show on Monday, then you also do two shows. So we do it Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. And then we do a Substack check-in Wednesday, which is going really well. The way to support us is watching us right now, nearly 1,100 people. Thank you so much. Like this video once it's out in about a minute. Danielle, you're on watching this on Danielle's YouTube, most likely, or on my Twitter. If you're watching this on my Twitter, Danielle's Twitter, go to the YouTube, Danielle Moodie on YouTube, and actually be a subscriber. And Danielle's trying to get to 25,000, which is pretty big.
We landed at 24,000 yesterday.
She's almost there.
We got to 24,000 yesterday.
So ring the bell, like it, share it. And also, we're fools as children of immigrants. We just disappoint our parents. We've kept everything without paywalls. So everything is free, including our Substack. So for Danielle, it's Damn Digest.
Yep.
For me, it's The Left Hook. If you have a few dollars, it's $5. If you don't, we understand. At least be a free subscriber and spread the news. And all the people, no paywall. We deliberately did no paywall as fools. And all the people who give us this money, it goes such a long way. Christine, $10. E. Schwartz every week comes in with $2, $3. Tina comes in $1, $2. D. Cook with the $5. Jimmy with the $5. Barb, Sharon. What's their motive? Their motive, in my opinion, is authoritarian rule and to dismantle the federal government and to privatize everything and to engage in the endless grift where we have an oligarchy and a caucusocracy where the rest of us keep working until we die and eventually are replaced with AI. And if it's up to Elon Musk and his philosophers, we will be turned into biofuel. I'm not making that up.
And just in case you want a good throwback movie to watch over the weekend, watch all the Matrixes because every single Matrix is about how humans are turned into fuel for machines. And before we go, I want to give a birthday shout out to Jules T. Who
Jules
is a super fan, always in the chats, always sharing on social media. Happy birthday to you, Jules. And thank you all so much for the donations, for showing up. We appreciate you. Somebody just asked. So I am binge watching Andor this weekend. And so season 2, we will be doing our analysis on Wednesday. So wish me luck in my binge
season
watching.
2 is so good. Like season 1 was great, and the funny thing is, for those who don't know what we're talking about, I convinced Danielle to finally watch Andor, and she first gave me the immigrant mom face, but then she did it, and then she loved it. And we did a breakdown 2 weeks ago, and people really enjoyed it.
Up now.
And now I have not spoiled anything. Don't spoil anything for Danielle. She's gonna watch season 2. So if you haven't watched it, folks, join us. A lot of folks of you messaged us and said that you had never seen Andor until you saw our breakdown. Then you saw it, you're like, whoa, this was really good. Same thing with Sinners. A lot of you said that you saw Sinners after we did a breakdown of it, and then you really enjoyed it. So really watch Andor season 2. There's a reason why it's getting so much praise. There's a reason why it's a global phenomenon, because it really speaks to the moment. And the creators of Andor season 1, season 2 very deliberately and intentionally made it as a commentary on authoritarianism and fascism, but within the Star Wars universe. And you don't need to be a Star Wars geek, a Star Wars fanatic to watch it. Danielle came into it cold, and then she really dug.
Storytelling was extraordinary. So do make sure that you check out our breakdown coming up this Wednesday, and we will post. As always, friends, we appreciate you so very much. And we will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Be well, be safe, and do something joyful this weekend. Try to avoid the news. We'll see you next week.